Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This isn't a museum. These cars start at $300,000, 0 cents. And frankly, you don't look like our typical clientele. The words slice through the pristine silence of Manhattan's most exclusive luxury car showroom. 15 customers freeze mid-conversation. 3 salespeople exchange knowing glances. Security approaches from the corner. The man being addressed, Marcus Thompson, 42, wearing simple jeans and sneakers, doesn't flinch. He adjusts his watch and smiles. What happens next isn't just one of those powerful black stories that challenge everything we assume about judging people by appearance. This is one of those real-life stories that proves sometimes the quietest response creates the loudest impact. These touching stories remind us that true power doesn't announce itself. It simply acts. The sales manager has no idea he's just made the most expensive mistake of his career. Have you ever been so completely underestimated that people forgot to ask who you really were? Let me take you back to Tuesday, 2:47 p.m. Prestige Motors, Manhattan, where chrome gleams under spotless lighting and every surface reflects money. The kind of place where silence costs more than most people's cars. Marcus Thompson steps through the glass doors, his sneakers quiet against Italian marble. He's dressed down. Jeans, plain gray t-shirt, nothing flashy. But there's something in his posture, the way he moves through space, that suggests depths the eye can't measure. Brad Whitmore, 28 years old, perfectly pressed navy suit, approaches with the predatory confidence of someone who's made assumptions his entire career. Can I help you? The question carries no intention of helping anyone. Marcus nods toward the gleaming McLaren 720S in the center of the showroom. I'd like to take a look at that one. Brad's laugh is sharp, practiced. Let me guess, you're here for the used car lot? That's 3 blocks down past the deli. He positions himself between Marcus and the $400,000 0-cent supercar like a human velvet rope. The words hit the showroom like a stone through glass. Conversations pause. A woman in pearls turns to stare. Her husband adjusts his tie, suddenly uncomfortable. Near the Lamborghini section, 2 customers exchange a look that says everything and nothing. I'm interested in this car, Marcus repeats, his voice steady as granite. Brad's smile turns patronizing. Sir, I'm trying to save you embarrassment. These vehicles require serious financial qualification. Pre-approval starts at 7 figures. Liquid assets. Here's where the story takes its first turn toward the extraordinary. Marcus doesn't argue. He doesn't raise his voice. Instead, he does something that will haunt Brad Whitmore for the rest of his career. He pulls out his phone and checks the time. The watch beneath catches light. For just a moment, the woman in pearls glimpses something that makes her frown. Something that doesn't match the casual clothes. Something that whispers of serious money. The owner will be here in 10 minutes for the monthly inspection, Brad announces to his colleague, Janet Hoffman, the district manager, who's just emerged from the back office. Maybe we should handle this situation before then. Janet, 43, red hair pulled back in a bun that could cut glass, sizes up the scene in seconds. She's climbed the corporate ladder by reading rooms and making snap judgments. Today, that skill will cost her everything. Sir, she says, stepping beside Brad, I think there's been a misunderstanding. This is a high-end luxury dealership. Our clientele typically schedules appointments. Marcus tilts his head slightly. I wasn't aware walking into a public business required an appointment. Well, it doesn't, Janet backpedals. But given the nature of our inventory, we like to ensure serious buyers. The discrimination isn't subtle anymore. It's hanging in the air like smoke, visible to everyone breathing it. That's when the phones come out. A young woman near the Bentley section slides her iPhone from her purse, camera already activated. "This is wild," she whispers to her friend. "Watching someone get profiled at Prestige Motors right now." Within seconds, the recording is live on Instagram. The caption reads, "Discrimination in real time. Luxury car dealership, Manhattan." Two more phones emerge. A man in his 60s starts filming from behind a Ferrari. The woman in pearls hesitates, then begins recording too. Marcus notices the cameras but shows no reaction. He simply adjusts that watch again, a gesture so casual, so unconscious that it seems meaningless. But the sales associate, who's been watching from the Porsche section, feels something shift in his chest. He's seen that watch before. In magazines, in boardrooms, in places where that particular timepiece costs more than most people's houses. "Folks, sorry for the disruption," Brad announces, his voice carrying across the marble expanse. "Some people just don't understand boundaries." The security guard, a former NYPD officer named Tony Martinez, approaches with reluctant steps. 23 years on the force taught him to read situations, and something about this scene feels wrong. The man in jeans hasn't raised his voice, hasn't made threats, hasn't even touched anything. He's just standing there, existing, while black in a space that clearly doesn't want him. But Tony has a job to do. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step outside while we sort this out." Marcus looks at Tony with eyes that hold no anger, only a deep, patient sadness. "Officer Martinez," he says quietly, reading the name tag. "I understand you're doing your job. I respect that. But I'd like to make one phone call before I go anywhere." The use of Tony's name stops him cold. This man isn't panicked, isn't angry. He's calm, dangerously calm. "On call," Marcus repeats, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then, if you still want me to leave, I'll go." Brad scoffs. "What's one phone call going to do? Call your lawyer? Good luck with that." Marcus pulls out his phone, not an iPhone, something sleeker, more expensive. The device itself whispers of exclusivity, its titanium surface reflecting the showroom lights. He dials a number from memory, each digit pressed with deliberate precision. The phone rings once, twice. On the third ring, a voice answers, crisp, professional, carrying the weight of serious business. "It's Marcus," he says, his tone shifting into something that makes the nearby customers lean closer despite themselves. "We're moving to Phase 2, authorization code Platinum 77. The words carry meaning that escapes everyone listening, but the tone suggests consequences far beyond what anyone in this showroom can imagine. This isn't a man calling for help. This is a man activating something that was already in motion. He hangs up without waiting for a response. The room holds its breath like a theater audience waiting for the curtain to rise. Brad shifts nervously, his earlier confidence cracking like ice in warm water. Janet checks her phone again, as if time itself might provide an escape from whatever is approaching. Janet shifts nervously. Her fists clench. "Thank you," Marcus says to no one in particular, his voice carrying a quiet finality that makes every person in the showroom suddenly aware they're witnessing something unprecedented. Now, we wait. The silence that follows isn't empty. It's pregnant with possibility, heavy with the weight of consequences about to unfold. Even the air conditioning seems to hume with anticipation. The silence stretches like a wire about to snap. Marcus stands perfectly still, hands clasped behind his back, that expensive phone tucked away. Around him, the showroom is transformed into something resembling a courtroom. Customers as jury, staff as prosecution, security as enforcement. The Instagram live stream now has 47 viewers. Comments flood the screen. This is insane. Document everything. Where is this? The viewer count climbs to 63, then 89. Janet Hoffman checks her watch, a modest Seiko that suddenly feels inadequate. 5 minutes until the owner arrives, she murmurs to Brad, who's begun to sweat despite the showroom's perfect climate control. But it's too late to back down now. Too many eyes watching, too many phones recording. The corporate machinery has been set in motion, and stopping it would require admitting error. Something Janet Hoffman has never been good at. "Sir," she says, stepping closer to Marcus, "you're making our customers uncomfortable. This is private property, and we reserve the right to refuse service." Marcus turns to look at her directly. His eyes are kind but tired, carrying the weight of 1,000 similar moments. "Which customers am I making uncomfortable, Ms. Hoffman?" He pauses. Because the truth is, the customers aren't uncomfortable with Marcus. They are uncomfortable with what they're witnessing. The woman in pearls has stopped recording and is staring at her phone screen, her face pale. The elderly man near the Ferrari has lowered his camera entirely. Even the young woman who started the Instagram live looks uncertain now. "Well, Janet starts, then stops. She's walked into a trap without realizing it. That's when Brad makes his fatal error. "Look," he says, his voice rising. "I don't know what game you're playing, but this isn't some social justice experiment. This is a business. We sell to people who can afford our products, not people who—" He stops himself, but the words hang in the air like poison. "Not people who—" "What, Brad?" The question echoes silently through the marble hall. Marcus pulls out a slim leather portfolio from his jacket, something everyone missed in their rush to judge his casual attire. The leather is butter soft, with discreet gold embossing that catches the light. Inside, partially visible, are documents that look important. Very important. "I apologize," Marcus says quietly. "I should have introduced myself properly when I arrived. Sometimes I forget that appearances can be misleading." He reaches for his wallet, but before he can open it, Tony Martinez's radio crackles to life, a dispatcher's voice, urgent. "All units, be advised. High-pressure individual may be in your vicinity. Extreme caution advised." Tony's face changes. 23 years of police work have taught him to recognize when a situation is about to explode in directions nobody anticipated. The Instagram live stream hits 200 viewers. Comments are coming too fast to read. Someone has started a Twitter thread. A local blogger who happened to be in the area for another story has begun typing furiously on her laptop from the Starbucks across the street. The showroom has become ground zero for something much larger than anyone realized. 3 minutes, Janet whispers, checking her phone. 3 minutes until the owner arrives and finds his pristine showroom turned into a social media nightmare. But Marcus seems completely unaware of the time pressure. He's examining the McLaren now, walking around it slowly, professionally. His movements are those of someone who understands automobiles at a deep level, not as status symbols, but as engineering achievements. "Beautiful machine," he murmurs, running his fingers just above the carbon fiber, never quite touching. 720 horsepower, twin-turbo V8, 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. He pauses at the rear spoiler, though I notice the aerodynamics package isn't the latest revision. The 2024 models have significantly improved downforce characteristics. Brad's mouth opens slightly. These aren't the words of someone pretending to know about supercars. This is technical knowledge that comes from real familiarity. The sales associate from the Porsche section, David Chin, who's been selling luxury vehicles for 12 years, starts walking over. He's been watching Marcus's examination of the McLaren, and something is clicking into place. The way Marcus moves around the car, the questions he's not asking because he already knows the answers. the casual familiarity with specifications that most customers have to Google. "Excuse me," David says, his voice cutting through the tension. "But are you by any chance—" Marcus holds up a gentle hand. "Let's see how this plays out first." Janet's phone buzzes, a text message that makes her face go white. She shows it to Brad, whose confident smirk dissolves like sugar in rain. The message is from Charles Pemberton himself, owner of Pemberton Automotive Group. Emergency situation developing at Manhattan location. Media attention confirmed. Handle with extreme care. Do not escalate. But it's too late for de-escalation. The corporate wheels are already in motion, grinding toward a collision that will reshape everything. Marcus checks his watch again. That mysterious, expensive timepiece that seems to anchor him in this storm of judgment and assumption. 2 minutes, he says softly. The Instagram live stream has hit 500 viewers. Prestige Motors is starting to trend on Twitter. The local blogger has posted her first update. Discrimination incident unfolding at luxury Manhattan dealership. Live updates. The digital wildfire spreads with terrifying speed. Screenshots flood Reddit forums. Facebook groups dedicated to luxury car enthusiasts begin dissecting every frame of the available footage. LinkedIn professionals share the video with corporate ethics commentary. TikTok users create reaction videos, their shocked faces mirroring the expressions of customers still standing in the showroom. Within minutes, the story has transcended its Manhattan origins. Viewers from Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, and Houston are watching live. International audiences from London, Tokyo, and Sydney tune in. The humble luxury car showroom has become a global stage for a confrontation that speaks to experiences shared across continents. Local news stations receive tips from viewers. 3 different reporters are already en route. The New York Times automotive correspondent, who happened to be monitoring industry social media, has begun making calls. This isn't just a customer service incident anymore. It's a cultural moment in real time. Janet tries one last desperate play. "Sir, perhaps we got off on the wrong foot. Why don't we start over? I'm Janet Hoffman, district manager, and you are?" Marcus smiles. The first genuine smile he's shown since walking through those glass doors. It's not a happy smile. It's the smile of someone who's been waiting patiently for exactly this question. "My name," he says, his voice carrying clearly across the marble expanse, across the live streams, across the growing digital audience watching this moment unfold, "is Marcus Thompson." He pauses, letting the name settle into the silence. "And I think it's time you knew exactly who you've been talking to." The name hangs in the air like lightning before thunder. Marcus Thompson. David Chen, the Porsche sales associate, stops breathing. His face goes from confusion to recognition to absolute horror in the span of 3 seconds. He knows that name. Every serious person in the automotive industry knows that name. But Janet and Brad are still lost, still operating in their small world of assumptions and prejudice. "Okay, Mr. Thompson," Janet says with forced politeness, now that we have introductions out of the way. That's when her phone rings. The caller ID shows a number she recognizes with ice-cold dread. Charles Pemberton, CEO of Pemberton Automotive Group. Her direct superior's superior. She lets it ring once. Twice. On the 3rd ring, she answers with a voice that tries to project confidence, but achieves only panic. "Mr. Pemberton, I was just about to call you about—" "Ms. Hoffman!" The voice on the other end cuts through her words like a blade through silk. Charles Pemberton doesn't sound like a man making a routine check-in call. He sounds like a man watching his empire crumble in real time. "I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. The showroom has gone silent. Even the customers have stopped pretending not to eavesdrop. The Instagram live stream has 847 viewers now, and someone has started a Reddit thread that's gaining momentum by the minute. The gentleman you are currently interacting with, Pemberton's voice carries clearly through the phone's speaker, is Marcus Thompson, CEO of Thompson Capital Management. He is also our company's largest private shareholder. Whoa! Janet's legs nearly give out. The phone slips in her suddenly sweaty palm. Did you say shareholder? She whispers. 34%. Pemberton's voice continues, each word falling like a hammer blow. Thompson Capital controls 34% of Pemberton Automotive Group through his investment fund. Mr. Thompson's portfolio includes 47 automotive dealerships across 12 states, with a combined annual revenue of $2.3 billion. Brad's face has gone from red to white to a sickly green. He's staring at Marcus like he's seeing a ghost. Which, in a way, he is. The ghost of his career, floating away in real time. Furthermore, Pemberton continues, his voice now audible to everyone in the showroom, today was not a casual visit. Mr. Thompson was conducting his quarterly ownership inspection. An inspection that, I understand, has not gone according to plan. The Instagram live stream breaks 1,000 viewers. Comments are scrolling too fast to read, but phrases like, "Oh my God," and "plot twist," and "I cannot repeat" like a digital heartbeat. The viewer count explodes past 1,000, 500, then 2,000. Someone has cross-posted to TikTok, where the video gains 10,000 views in 3 minutes. But the real explosion happens in the automotive industry's private communications. WhatsApp groups of luxury car dealers across the country light up with screenshots and frantic messages. Is this real? Who is Marcus Thompson? Thompson Capital Management? That's the investment firm that owns half the luxury car market. Trade publication editors who've been covering the automotive industry for decades recognize the magnitude of what they're witnessing. This isn't just a discrimination incident. It's a seismic shift in how the luxury retail industry will operate from this moment forward. The story has already been picked up by Automotive News, whose breaking news alert reads, "Major investor confronts discrimination at own dealership live footage." Car and Driver's social media team begins preparing an emergency analysis. Motor Trend's discrimination in automotive retail piece, dormant in draft form for 6 months, suddenly becomes their most urgent publication priority. Marcus adjusts his watch, that Richard Mille timepiece that's worth more than most people's cars, and speaks for the first time since giving his name. "Hello, Charles," he says calmly. "I think we need to talk." "Mr. Thompson," Pemberton's voice carries a tremor now. "I am profoundly sorry for what has happened. This is not reflective of our company values, and I assure you—" "Charles," Marcus interrupts gently, "there's something else you need to know, something I haven't shared with Ms. Hoffman yet." Janet looks like she might faint. Brad has actually taken a step backward, as if physical distance might somehow separate him from the magnitude of his error. "This isn't my first time at this dealership," Marcus continues, his voice carrying clearly across the marble expanse, across the live streams, across the growing digital audience. "I've been coming here for 6 months. Not as an owner, not as an investor, as a customer." He pauses, letting that sink in. 6 months of documentation, 7 separate incidents, all recorded, all cataloged, all part of a comprehensive investigation into systemic discrimination practices within our dealership network. The silence that follows is so complete it has weight. Even the air conditioning seems to have stopped breathing. David Chen, who has been standing frozen near the Porsche section, finally finds his voice. "Mr. Thompson, I recognized you from the automotive journals. I should have said something earlier. I'm sorry." Marcus nods at him with genuine warmth. "David, right? You're not responsible for other people's choices. But thank you. Janet's phone is still connected to Pemberton, and his voice cuts through the tension. "Mr. Hoffman, I need you to transfer the call to Mr. Thompson immediately." With shaking hands, Janet extends the phone toward Marcus, but he doesn't take it. "Not yet, Charles," Marcus says, speaking to the phone in Janet's trembling grasp. "There's one more thing everyone needs to understand." He reaches into that leather portfolio and pulls out a document. The paper is crisp, official, bearing the letterhead of Thompson Capital Management. "This morning, at 9:47 a.m., my legal team filed preliminary paperwork for a potential discrimination lawsuit against Pemberton Automotive Group. The estimated damages, based on 6 months of documented incidents, start at $50 million. Brad makes a sound like air escaping from a punctured tire. "However," Marcus continues, "I didn't want to file that lawsuit. I wanted to give your company a chance to address these issues internally, to prove that change was possible without legal intervention." He folds the document carefully, deliberately. Today was the test, the final opportunity to see if this dealership could treat all customers with basic human dignity. The Instagram live stream has exploded past 2,000 viewers. Prestige Motors is trending on Twitter. The local blogger's story has been picked up by 3 major news outlets. This isn't just a showroom anymore. It's ground zero for a conversation about discrimination in luxury retail. Marcus walked slowly to the McLaren, running his hand just above its perfect surface. "This car," he says quietly, "is beautiful. But it's just metal and carbon fiber. It has no prejudice, no assumptions. It doesn't care what color its driver is, or what they're wearing, or whether they look like they belong." He turns to face Janet and Brad. "People do that. People like you." The weight of those words settles over the showroom like snow, covering everything in a cold, clear silence. Pemberton's voice crackles through the phone speaker. "Mr. Thompson, please, let's discuss this privately. I'm flying to New York immediately. We can resolve this." Marcus finally takes the phone from Janet's numb fingers. "Hello, Charles. I think it's time for that conversation, now." "Give me 20 minutes, Marcus says into the phone. "I'll be in the conference room." He hands the device back to Janet, whose fingers can barely grip it. The Instagram live stream has passed 3,000 viewers. Someone has started a TikTok that's already at 50,000 views. The story is spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. "Ms. Hoffman," Marcus says, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to boardrooms and billion-dollar decisions. "I need you to gather your staff in the conference room. All of them. Including Mr. Whitmore here." Brad finally finds his voice, though it comes out as a croak. "Mr. Thompson, I had no idea. If I had known—" "If you had known what, Brad?" Marcus interrupts, his tone remaining calm but carrying an edge that could cut glass. "If you had known I was rich, you would have treated me with respect? If you had known I was powerful, you would have seen me as human?" The question hangs in the air like an accusation that can't be answered without admitting guilt. "That's exactly the problem," Marcus continues. "Respect shouldn't require a portfolio statement." David Chen approaches cautiously. "Mr. Thompson, should I clear the showroom?" Marcus considers this. The customers are still watching, phones still recording. The digital audience has grown beyond anything anyone anticipated. "No," he says finally. "Let them stay. Let them see how this ends. Transparency is the only way forward." The conference room at Prestige Motors is all glass and chrome, designed to intimidate. But today, it feels more like a courtroom than a corporate meeting space. Janet sits at one end of the polished table, Brad beside her, both looking like defendants awaiting sentencing. Marcus takes a seat across from them, setting his leather portfolio on the table with deliberate precision. He's no longer the casually dressed man who walked through the front door 40 minutes ago. He's transformed into something else entirely. A force of nature, wearing jeans. The wall-mounted screen flickers to life. Charles Pemberton appears via video conference, his usually perfect hair disheveled, his tie askew. Behind him, the Manhattan skyline suggests he's calling from his helicopter, rushing to contain a crisis that's already spiraled beyond containment. "Mr. Thompson," Pemberton begins, "I want to apologize personally for what happened today. This is not who we are as a company." Marcus opens his portfolio, revealing a stack of documents that makes Janet's stomach drop. "Charles, with respect, this is exactly who you are as a company. I have 6 months of evidence that proves it." He slides the first document across the table. It's a detailed report, 37 pages long with timestamps, photographs, and witness statements. September 15th, 2024. An African-American woman named Sandra Williams was told she probably couldn't afford the insurance on a BMW she wanted to test drive. She's a cardiac surgeon who makes $400,000, 0 cents, a year. Another document slides across the table. 2. October 3rd, 2024. A Latino man named Carlos Rodriguez was asked for 2 forms of ID before being allowed to sit in a Mercedes. He's a tech entrepreneur who sold his company for $50 million, 0 cents, last year. Janet's hands are shaking as she looks at the papers. Each incident is documented with the precision of a legal brief. Photos, audio recordings, witness statements. An entire system of discrimination laid bare. November 18th, 2024. An elderly black gentleman named Robert Jackson was followed by security while browsing. He's a retired federal judge. The documents keep coming, each one a damning indictment of a culture that judges customers by their appearance rather than their character or capacity. "In total," Marcus says, his voice steady as granite, "I documented 23 separate incidents of discrimination across your Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens locations, all committed by staff who thought they were protecting the company's image." Pemberton's face on the screen has gone ashen. "Marcus, I had no idea the problem was this systemic. We'll implement immediate changes." "Changes like what, Charles?" Marcus interrupts. "Diversity training? Sensitivity workshops? The same Band-Aid solutions that have failed for decades?" He pulls out another document, this one bearing the letterhead of a major law firm. "My legal team has calculated the potential damages from a class action discrimination lawsuit at between $75 million, 0 cents, and $150 million, 0 cents, depending on how many additional victims come forward. And trust me, after today's social media exposure, they will come forward." Helena, as we move forward. The Instagram live stream has peaked at 5,000 viewers. Prestige Motors is trending nationally. 3 news outlets have contacted the dealership requesting comment. This isn't just a business crisis anymore, it's a cultural moment. Brad tries to speak. "Mr. Thompson, I want you to know that I personally—" "Mr. Whitmore," Marcus cuts him off, "you're fired, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." The words land like a physical blow. Brad's mouth opens and closes soundlessly. "Furthermore," Marcus continues, "you're being placed on an industry-wide blacklist. My companies and our partner organizations will not do business with any dealership that employs you. Your career in automotive sales is over. It's brutal, it's final, it's justice delivered without raising a voice." Janet finds her voice, though it's barely a whisper. "Mr. Thompson, what about me? What about the dealership?" Marcus turns to face her directly. "Ms. Hoffman, you have a choice. You can either be part of the solution or you can follow Mr. Whitmore to the unemployment line." He slides another document across the table. "This is a comprehensive anti-discrimination protocol I've developed. It includes mandatory bias training, real-time customer feedback systems, diversity hiring requirements, and monthly third-party audits. Implementation begins immediately. Janet stares at the document. It's detailed, professional, and clearly the work of someone who's thought deeply about systemic change. Every customer interaction will be recorded and reviewed, Marcus continues. Every complaint will be investigated by an independent third party. Every staff member will undergo quarterly bias assessment. Pemberton's voice cuts through the tension. Marcus, the board will approve whatever changes you require. We'll allocate whatever budget is necessary. Good, Marcus says, because the budget is substantial. $12 million, 0 cents annually across all locations. Employee training, monitoring systems, diversity initiatives, community outreach programs. He pauses, letting the number sink in. It's expensive to fix a broken culture, Charles, but it's more expensive to defend discrimination lawsuits. Janet looks up from the document. Mr. Thompson, I want to make this right. I want to be part of the solution. Marcus studies her face, searching for sincerity. Then you'll start by issuing a public apology to every customer in that showroom. On camera. On the record. The terms are clear. The choice is binary. Evolution or extinction. One more thing, Marcus says, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about destroying your company. This is about ensuring that no one else walks into one of your dealerships and experiences what I experienced today. He stands, closing his portfolio with decisive finality. You have 30 days to implement these changes. Full compliance or I file the lawsuit. Your choice. The room falls silent except for the distant sound of cameras clicking in the showroom beyond the glass walls. 30 days later, Prestige Motors Manhattan looks identical on the surface. Same gleaming chrome, same Italian marble. Same $300,000 0-cent supercars reflecting spotless showroom lights. But everything else has changed. Janet Hoffman stands near the entrance, greeting every customer personally. Her demeanor is different now. Warmer, more genuine. The calculating assessment that once preceded every interaction has been replaced by something resembling actual hospitality. Brad Whitmore is gone, of course. His termination made industry headlines, creating ripple effects across luxury retail sectors nationwide. 3 other dealerships quietly dismissed employees who had similar customer service philosophies. The message was clear. Discrimination is no longer just morally wrong, it's career suicide. The transformation began immediately after Marcus's ultimatum. Within 48 hours, Charles Pemberton had flown in a team of diversity consultants, HR specialists, and systems engineers. The $12 million 0 cents annual budget Marcus demanded wasn't just allocated. It was exceeded by 30%, bringing the total investment to $15,600,000, 0 cents, across all dealership locations. Every customer interaction is now recorded by discrete ceiling cameras. Not for surveillance, but for learning. Each conversation is reviewed by AI software that flags potential bias indicators. Staff members receive real-time coaching through nearly invisible earpieces, guided by consultants who understand the subtle language of discrimination. The technology implementation alone cost $3,200,000, 0 cents. Custom software development, hardware installation, training systems, and ongoing monitoring require a small army of specialists. But the investment pays for itself within 6 months through increased sales to previously alienated demographics. The results are measurable and dramatic. Customer satisfaction scores have jumped from 6.8 to 9.2 out of 10. More importantly, customer demographics have shifted dramatically. Where the showroom once served primarily white, male, obviously wealthy clients, it now welcomes a spectrum of humanity that reflects New York's actual diversity. Sales data tells the story most clearly. Revenue from black customers increased 340% in the first quarter after implementation. Latino customer purchases rose 280%. Asian American buyers, previously underrepresented, now account for 23% of luxury vehicle sales. Women who had consistently reported feeling unwelcome now represent 41% of high-end purchases, up from 19% before Marcus's intervention. David Chen has been promoted to sales manager, replacing Brad. His first hire was Sandra Williams, the cardiac surgeon who was once told she couldn't afford insurance. She now works part-time as a customer experience consultant, helping staff recognize when assumptions masquerade as professionalism. The mandatory bias training happens every quarter, led by Dr. Amelia Rodriguez, a Harvard psychologist who specializes in implicit prejudice. Her sessions don't focus on political correctness or corporate liability. They focus on money. Specifically, how discrimination costs dealerships millions in lost sales annually. The numbers are stark. Before Marcus's intervention, Prestige Motors Manhattan was missing approximately $15 million, 0 cents, in annual revenue by alienating potential customers who didn't look the part. The cardiac surgeon who makes $400,000, 0 cents a year. The tech entrepreneur worth $50 million, 0 cents. The retired federal judge looking for a retirement gift to himself. These customers didn't disappear when rejected. They simply bought their luxury vehicles elsewhere, from competitors who were smart enough to judge wallets, not wardrobe. The monitoring app Marcus mandated has become an industry standard. Called True Customer, it allows buyers to rate their dealership experience in real time, sending alerts when discrimination indicators appear. The app now operates in 312 luxury retail locations across North America, from car dealerships to jewelry stores to high-end fashion boutiques. Janet Hoffman has become an unlikely champion of the changes. She appears at industry conferences now, speaking about the business case for inclusion. Her presentations focus on a simple truth. Equality isn't just ethical, it's profitable. We were leaving money on the table, she tells audiences of dealership managers. Millions of dollars walking out our doors because we couldn't see past our own prejudices. The Instagram live stream that started everything has been viewed 2.3 million times. It's been dissected by business schools, analyzed by discrimination researchers, and cited in 6 separate academic papers. The video has become a case study in how social media can force corporate accountability faster than any lawsuit. Marcus Thompson has not returned to Prestige Motors as a customer. He doesn't need to. The monthly reports crossing his desk tell the story. Complaints down 94%. Diversity hiring up 340%. Revenue up 23%. The numbers speak louder than any personal visit could. But the real measure of success isn't found in quarterly reports. It's found in moments like this Tuesday afternoon, when a young black woman in yoga pants and sneakers walks through those glass doors. Juicy. She's Dr. Keisha Brown, a neurosurgeon at Mount Sinai, looking at the Lamborghini Huracan in the center of the showroom. Last year, she would have been followed by security, questioned about her intentions, possibly asked to leave. Today, David Chen approaches with a genuine smile. Beautiful car, he says. Are you interested in a test drive? Dr. Brown nods. I've been saving for 5 years, just got my bonus, and I think it's time. Congratulations, David says, already pulling out the keys. Let's get you behind the wheel. No questions about pre-approval. No assumptions about ability to afford. No judgment based on appearance. Just professional service for a paying customer. As Dr. Brown settles into the Lamborghini's driver's seat, adjusting mirrors and familiarizing herself with controls, David notices something that would have gone unobserved in the old system. She handles the car like someone who understands high-performance vehicles. Her questions are technical, specific, informed. Track days at Lime Rock, she explains when he asks about her experience. I've been racing for 10 years. This will be my first street-legal supercar. They complete the test drive. She loves the car. The financing is approved within minutes. Her credit score is 847, and her down payment covers half the purchase price. She drives home that afternoon in a $200,000 0-cents Lamborghini. Another customer who would have been lost under the old system. The true victory isn't the sale itself. It's the absence of drama. No social media incident, no viral videos, no discrimination, just a doctor buying a car she's earned the right to own. This ordinary transaction represents Marcus Thompson's ultimate success. He didn't just punish discrimination, he eliminated it. He didn't just win a battle, he changed an entire industry's approach to customer service. The quiet revolution he sparked continues spreading. One dealership at a time, one interaction at a time, one customer at a time. 6 months after that Tuesday afternoon confrontation, Marcus Thompson sits in his corner office overlooking Central Park. The morning sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating a wall covered with framed articles about the Prestige Motors transformation. The Harvard Business Review feature, How One Customer Changed an Industry. The Wall Street Journal analysis. The $12 million 0-cents solution to retail discrimination. The Forbes profile. Marcus Thompson, the CEO who chose reform over revenge. But the article that matters most hangs in a simple black frame beside his desk. It's from a small automotive trade publication, barely 3 paragraphs long. The headline reads, Prestige Motors posts record quarter, credits diversity initiative. The numbers tell the story Marcus always knew they would. Revenue up 31% year over year. Customer satisfaction at an all-time high. Employee turnover down 67%. Most importantly, discrimination complaints at 0 across all monitored locations. 47 other automotive dealerships have voluntarily adopted Marcus's protocols. The Thompson Standard has become shorthand for comprehensive anti-bias customer service training. Insurance companies now offer premium discounts to retailers who implement the full program. The ripple effects extend far beyond car sales. Luxury watch retailers, high-end fashion boutiques, and private banking institutions have all adapted Marcus's monitoring systems. The simple principle that discrimination is expensive has proven more effective than decades of sensitivity training. Marcus's phone buzzes with a text from Janet Hoffman. Another record month. Thank you for giving me the chance to be better. He smiles, remembering that Tuesday afternoon when she stood trembling in the showroom, career hanging by a thread. Today, she's one of the most sought-after diversity consultants in luxury retail. Her transformation from perpetrator to advocate proves that people can change when given proper incentives and clear expectations. The social media metrics are staggering. The original Instagram live stream has been viewed 4.7 million times across all platforms. Prestige Motors generated 23,000 posts across social media platforms. More importantly, the hashtag Quiet Power, coined by someone watching the stream, has become associated with Marcus's approach of choosing systematic change over public humiliation. The ripple effects extend far beyond automotive retail. Quiet Power has been used 847,000 times across various social media platforms, often accompanying stories of people choosing constructive responses to discrimination over destructive ones. Corporate executives cite Marcus's approach in boardroom discussions about crisis management. Business schools have added his strategy to case study curricula. 12 universities now use the Prestige Motors case study in business ethics courses. The scenario has been role-played in corporate training sessions from Seattle to Miami. Harvard Business School's Negotiation and Conflict Resolution program features Marcus's tactics as a masterclass in de-escalation through escalation. using power strategically to create systematic change rather than personal revenge. What began as one man's experience with discrimination has become a blueprint for institutional change. The Marcus Thompson method: document thoroughly, respond strategically, demand systematic reform, follow through relentlessly, has been adopted by civil rights organizations, corporate diversity departments, and individual professionals facing workplace discrimination. Marcus opens his laptop and reviews the latest monthly report from Thomson Capital's Diversity Monitoring Division. The data shows discrimination incidents down 78% across all partner retailers. Customer demographic diversity up 156%. Most tellingly, revenue per location up an average of 19%. The business case for equality has never been clearer, supported by irrefutable financial data. But the true measure of success isn't found in spreadsheets or quarterly reports. It's found in the emails Marcus receives weekly from customers who walk into luxury retailers and experience the simple dignity of being judged by their character rather than their appearance. These touching stories and real-life stories remind us that change doesn't always require lawsuits or protests or public shaming. Sometimes it requires patience, documentation, and the quiet power of holding people accountable to their better selves. Marcus's approach, choosing reform over revenge, education over humiliation, systematic change over personal satisfaction, has created something more valuable than any legal victory could have achieved. He built a model for transformation that other leaders can follow. The black CEO who was denied service didn't just buy a dealership. He bought an entire industry's commitment to change. He transformed discrimination from an acceptable business practice into a career-ending liability. Most importantly, he proved that the most powerful response to injustice isn't always the loudest one. Sometimes quiet strength changes more than righteous anger ever could. These are the life stories that matter most, not tales of destruction, but narratives of construction, not stories of tearing down, but accounts of building up. These black stories prove that real power lies not in punishment, but in the patient work of making tomorrow better than today. Have you witnessed discrimination that could have been handled differently? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be the key to preventing someone else's humiliation. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of quiet courage changing the world, one interaction at a time. Because sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply treating people with the dignity they deserve.